Good evening and welcome to this edition of Newsnight. My name is Charles Odongso, and this evening, with the old man of the clan, Andrew Mwenda, he is the CEO of The Independent. Mark that word, CEO of The Independent. Andrew, you're most welcome back.
The paper that breaks all the news.
Someone was telling me Andrew is actually a businessman more than a journalist. That's why I'm saying, I emphasize the word CEO.
I am both. I think that although I do a lot of business, my gut feeling, my blood, my DNA is actually journalism.
Which you started when you were young.
I started my first newspaper when I was 6 years old.
Now you realize why that person must have been saying that.
Yes.
That probably you are now more driven by capitalism than, you know, journalism.
But the best journalism in the world thrives in a capitalist environment. I do not know of an uncapitalist state which has a thriving mass media with good journalism. So good journalism can only thrive where there is a good business model. The business model provides the strategic direction that allows the media house to generate sufficient revenues and profits to finance greater investment in good journalism, whether at the level of technology and at the level of human skill.
Very good. I think I realize that now it is one of those subjects probably we shall discuss one day. But for today, Andrew, Brigadier Muhoozi on the weekend made news, and I think I saw him on the front page of the New Vision, and where he delivered a paper to the RDCs who have been retreating at Chankwanzi. What did you make of this, looking at the trends that are developing? You have never discussed him in terms of the succession and all that.
I don't know, because if Muhoozi did anything, people would read many things in it. In fact, I find Muhoozi one of the most disciplined human beings. Do you recognize that Muhoozi has never appeared in the newspaper or mass media involved in any form of scandal whatsoever?
Not yet, not yet. But any human being is potentially both good and bad, so we never know, but not yet for now.
I should tell you this, I have seen many sons of many presidents. They get involved in many things. The fact that Muhoozi has not been involved in anything, and the only thing now we have to discuss that he has been involved in giving a lecture about security. Yes, he's a soldier. Yes. So he has
talked about politics. The RDCs are supposed to be apolitical. And strangely, Frank Tumwebaze, who is the Minister for Presidency and therefore in charge of the RDCs, said as the retreat was beginning that RDCs are supposed to be impartial. I think he said impartial. I just need to find the right word. But he said something akin to impartial. And then a soldier who is supposed to be not political goes to present to them a lecture. So who gave him the permission?
So you don't think that a soldier, if he gives a lecture, is that not impartial? If you're talking about Uganda security needs and the security threats that Uganda is facing, don't you think whether there is President Andrew Mwenda or President Odongotho or President Museveni would all still have to address the issues of this Uganda's security in regard to where it's geographically located?
Indeed, President Museveni went and did that. Frank Tumwebaze did that. Indeed, Todwong did that.
And I think
and
that
directors of ESO and ISO.
Yes,
why Muhoozi? The trends are clear.
I think that the command of the Special Forces command could also fight. But let me tell you this. You see, there has been a debate on whether there is a Muhoozi project. First of all, I have never believed that there is a Muhoozi project.
Why? Why not?
I think that the Yoweri Museveni has a Yoweri Museveni project. And Museveni recognizes that Muhoozi, being his son, is a person he can trust, must be very loyal to him. So Muhoozi's rise in the UPDF can also partly be attributed to the fact that Museveni is looking for someone who can protect the Museveni project, and Muhoozi is the best candidate. Now, is it possible that Museveni can turn around and make Muhoozi president? I don't think it's very easy.
Actually, we can provide the conducive environment for him to then...
Yes, but the environment is not easy. Assuming Museveni died tonight, you think Muhoozi can take over and the army in Uganda can take over? The international community cannot accept it. How many coups have been accepted in Africa over the last 7 years? I think the international community would resist it. And I do not think that UPDF and Muhoozi himself as an individual cannot see the writing on the wall, that it would be a very hard sell to even this region. So that is one. If Museveni were to retire today, resign today, or die today, God forbid, I'm sure immediately there would be pressure on Uganda to follow the constitutional path, in which case Sekandi would become president for 6 months to organize an election. And then each of these political parties would have to have primaries in their own political parties. And the NRM primary would be the one interesting, because I have always this suspicion that Kadaga would run, Amamba Bawaz would run, and many forces around Museveni would push Janet to run. But recently a friend changed my mind. He said, look, Mwenda, do not underestimate the number of forces that can converge upon Sekandi, although Sekandi may even be weak, people who would go there, including UPDF generals, say, you Sekandi, you're already acting president, also run for the premier of the NRM. And that Sekandi would have a higher chance of winning, to the extent that even the Museveni clan, the Museveni family, Janet and Muhoozi and others may rally around Sekandi because they see him as a safe bet rather than themselves. So it is very possible that if Museveni has ambitions of a family succession, contrary to my earlier claim that perhaps Janet would be the leading contender, Sekandi could actually have the highest chance of taking the thing.
Let me ask you this way. You talked of the name, the label,
yes,
the brand name Museveni. Why would Muhoozi, if, God forbid, like you said, Museveni dropped dead now, or if anything happened, why wouldn't Muhoozi, of course with all this, you know, goodwill that he has already got, go for that himself and not maybe Janet? Because
he's still in the army, so he would have to resign hurriedly from the army to immediately run. He cannot run, you cannot run for president when you're still a soldier. The other person, by the way, we always ignore is General Salim Saleh. I think he's retired from the army and therefore he can make a bid for it. And Saleh, even without Museveni's name, has a very strong following in Uganda. He has a strong name recognition. The person I have always felt would be most suited within the Museveni family to immediately take the mantle is Janet. Because first of all, she has a political constituency. She's an MP. She's been first lady, so everybody knows her. Muhoozi does not carry Museveni's name. Janet does carry it, although he carries Muhoozi has Museveni's fatherhood, but he doesn't use the name Museveni. Then you have Janet has the evangelical churches. She has the women's vote. She has many advantages, and herself, she is a much more passionate, politically involved person. Muhoozi has tried to avoid being in politics for a very long time.
Okay, then now there is this interesting invitation that comes from a politician that people are now saying, some of them have christened him the Prime Minister de facto. The young man Tumwebaze, your homeboy.
Now, from my village. Which
what makes Tumwebaze invite Muhoozi, and what is the reason for that? Is Tumwebaze becoming the John the Baptist to a savior in the succession?
I want to put myself in the position of Tumwebaze. So I am minister for the presidency, and I need to strengthen my clout. I need to become a friend, to make myself a friend of Muhoozi, because the most important thing about power is access. So Muhoozi can give Tumwebaze access. So if he can buy Muhoozi's favor, in exchange Muhoozi may perhaps help him, give him the necessary access to the president, which can keep him in his position. So if you want to raise in Uganda, Muhoozi is a very important strategic ally to have in your bag.
So what does he tell you when you sit with him? Because actually, maybe one of the things I should have asked you is whether you can be impartial in discussing Muhoozi, because I have been told I've been told you are actually his advisor, whether informally or formally, that you are one of his best strategists.
I don't have an advice to give Muhoozi. I simply say that if there was to be a Muhoozi project working, I would be its chairman. The fact that I'm not chairing it now means that that project is not in existence.
And you're assuming that maybe a Tumwebaze or a Todwong or one of these young Turks. By the way, one of the things...
But I should tell you this. You know, if Muhoozi attempted to do anything, and I think that is what is perhaps great about him, people would read very many things in it. It is amazing how much he has avoided getting caught up.
Because I think he's a disciplined soldier. For now, I also agree with that. He's a disciplined soldier.
Yes, but also has very good judgment, because you assume, Charles Odongo, the end of these Ugandan elites that I see were sons of the president. How many deals are happening in this town where they would have made a quick run for those deals to make quick money to become financially strong? Because first of all, it's in Muhoozi's interest, if he has a desire to be president one day, to build a financial muscle which can be able, you know, money is an important political resource. It is difficult to run campaigns without money. You can ask the opposition in Uganda, if you gave the opposition 100 billion shillings to run a campaign and they do not steal it and use it correctly, they can make Museveni's life very difficult. You imagine last election, Museveni got more than 500 billion from the treasury to fund his campaign. So money is an important political resource, and the fact that Muhoozi has not even made an attempt to make money, he has tried to keep clean.
But that is assuming that you know about his account details, but we are not going to go into that.
It's not assuming, I do.
Okay.
I do. He's not been involved in business. Let me tell you this, please, listen to me. On Muhoozi, I can say, I can have the last word. You cannot drag him into any form of business deal. Never. He will never get into it. And I don't think he's an easy person to drag into these political things. You ask any minister in Uganda, outside of the Ministry of Defense, if he has ever received a call from Muhoozi asking them to do anything.
For any favor.
Nothing. He can't do it. That is the level of discipline he is. Rather, he has. And perhaps that shows also that he's if a person can have that level of restraint, because the most difficult thing to exercise in the world, the most difficult power, is to exercise restraint. You see a person like Saleh, for example, he's a general, he was a general in the army, he's a hero of the revolution, he's a brother to the president, I think he's the second most powerful man in this country. The fact that Saleh can drive in a pickup with only one guard and can go and sit with an ordinary people and talk to them, and he does not exhibit that power. That is a great quality to possess, because he's able to restrain himself from exhibiting the power that he wields. So Saleh does not show the power he has. Have you ever driven with Mhozi through the traffic jam? Let me advise you, do not attempt to go with Mhozi in a traffic jam, because he will be agonizingly patient in that jam where you want to cut corners. So that level of discipline is very good, and I'm sure it has helped sustain Museveni's image. Just imagine if Mhozi was like Kongolo, Mobutu's son, running errands around this town and harassing people. It would have been a disaster.
Thank you so much. That was Andrew Mwenda, and this is the Newsnight. My name is Charles Odongtho.